my strength is that I trust Black women and I like to work with Black women.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blerd Girl Live. I am Karen Mahorn, aka the Blerd Girl, and this is a special, super special episode with a special guest. My guest tonight is Jayanne Lopez, the founder of BlackGirlGamers, and I'm going to read a little bit about her right now. She created BlackGirlGamers, which is actually the first time I heard of her. An online safe space and platform that heightens the visibility of Black women in gaming and advocates for diversity and inclusion. She's also the co-founder of Curlture, an online platform that empowers Black women to embrace their natural beauty, which I love because natural hair all the time. Anybody who follows me knows this. So for BlackGirlGamers, Jayanne has partnered with the V&A Museum, Belong Gaming Arenas, Facebook, and Twitch to curate events that highlight the need for inclusion in the industry. Due to her work for BlackGirlGamers, Jayanne has also been the winner of the MCV Women in Games Campaigner of the Year Award and the Black Tech Achievement Award for Gaming. She's also a public speaker and has spoken at Twitter, Unilever, Welcome Collection, and Super Union on the need for improvement in dominant gaming culture and why companies can do more. Also, she's won awards for Curlture, the company she co-founded, and she wrote a book. I don't know. Look, I think I'm busy, but I have to have Jayanne's level of dedication. Her book is called KINK, a collection of poetry and photography to empower Black women against colorism and texture discrimination. Welcome to the show, Jayanne Lopez. Hey, girl. How you doing?
I'm okay.
Now, I know you said you've been having a crazy weekend. You went to run across town. First of all, when you said you were outside, I was like, I'm in New York. I'm never leaving the house again. So
yeah, we're all right. We're all right here. It's not too. We're kind of eased up. Like things are opening. We have social distance rules, so even businesses have to implement it within the way that they run. But I think the balance here is that we're a small country compared to how we actually think. How big we think we are, and we have to maintain businesses to be able to maintain the economy because now we're in a recession technically. So we had to make it work and find ways in which we could still. Well, this is what I think. The government, have their own stuff that they've been doing, which everyone kind of been disagreeing with and not understanding. But this is how I think it is. So I was glad because I've been social distancing for a while, so I've been able to get out for once.
Which is good. I mean, here. Oh, wait, I have to ask. So in England, are you allowed to have the same thing that we have here, where people are protesting wearing a mask? Like, I don't want to wear a mask. It's against my religion, or it's against my personal whatever.
No, we don't have any. No, we don't have any organized versions of that. So I've seen you guys have the protests. People are actually making flyers and stuff. We ain't got none of that because we just don't. Just for the reason why.
Because you lot have sense? That's what you're trying to say?
No, I'm not even going to say that because I feel like we have our equivalents over here. There's a lot of presumptions that UK doesn't have their equivalent idiots, and we do. As you know, Trump and Boris are basically cousins. So
that's true.
We do have that here. I just don't think they have the gumption or the gall. Or the numbers, because America's bigger, to go out and organize something where they feel like they can say that they don't want to wear a mask because people will basically tamp them down. So no.
Yeah, here we have very interesting things where people are literally protesting that they shouldn't have to wear a mask and protesting without them in groups and then wondering why they're getting sick. And yeah, that's why I'm not leaving the house. But I love the fact that you were able to do that.
Well, yeah, I'm happy. To be honest, it's been the first time in a while where I've gone out and just seen people. I haven't done that. I've only seen one person here, bar family. So it's been it was really refreshing, and everyone's keeping their distance. Had their blankets in the park, and it was someone's celebration, and we were just had headphones, so it was like a party, but we had a headphone party rather than having music so people congregate in one area. We could all hear.
So you could hear. Oh, that's so thoughtful.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. It was nice to have that.
Yeah, this is New York. They don't do that here. So what else have you been doing during this lovely pandemic? Have you been like, what shows have you been watching? What books have you been reading? I know we're going to talk gaming, so you can tell me what games you're playing too.
So I have been watching a couple of shows. I just finished Greenleaf. I love that show. I was watching Love on the Spectrum. I'm watching a K-drama called The Empress Key.
Oh, I heard that's really good.
It's so good. It's so good. Like, it's just, I want to binge it every time I watch it, but I have to stop so that I can actually spread it out. What else have I been watching?
I've actually tried to tell people that a lot of people think that Netflix is the same there as it is here. And I keep having to tell people, when you say, hey, it's coming on Netflix tonight, it might not be in the UK.
Yeah,
that's a different
definitely.
Netflix. And same thing with Asia.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, you can do a special method, but so that's how I do.
Like you lot legally did not see Umbrella Academy, right? Like they didn't release it there.
Yeah, we have it. Yeah.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, and it's not technically illegal. It's just frowned upon.
Oh, thank you. I stand corrected. It's not illegal. It's just frowned upon. See, everything sounds better in Britain.
The British accent. That's what a lot of people tell me, especially in BGG. They're like, "Oh, it just sounds better in English." I'm like, "But you speak English too." It doesn't make any sense.
You speak English too, right? So, but it's easy. It's nicer. Like if I need to tell somebody off, I'm calling you because it'll sound so sweet when you do it.
That depends what side of me you get.
I know. So, tell me what you've been gaming. What games are you playing?
I was playing a lot of. So I finally got a Switch, Switch Lite, and I started playing Animal Crossing. Been playing some Apex. I actually got into Fortnite, which is going to be surprising to many people.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I'm surprised already.
Yeah, that happened.
You gave in.
I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it, especially with friends. Like with BGGs, I enjoy it the most. We've been playing Fall Guys. Of course, I was playing a game called Simulacra 2, which is a game that's based on a mobile phone, horror game. I haven't finished it yet. I didn't want to get any new games until I'd finished the ones that I have on my roster. So I want to get, after I've done these games, Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima is gorgeous. I'll explain how I know in a minute. Because I know you're like, you don't play games. What is she saying?
I was going to say, yeah, like, hold on.
I will explain in a minute. Tell me what else you're playing.
Ghost of Tsushima. I'm playing Grounded at the moment, which is on Xbox Game Pass on the PC. And I'm really enjoying it. I started it yesterday and I streamed twice just because I was just so engrossed in the game. It's really nostalgic. So if you grew up with like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, that's going to be something that will bring you back a lot of nostalgia and enjoyment. So I'm really enjoying that. It's really cool.
Cool. Okay, so I'm hearing, so you have a PS4, you have a Switch. Do you also have an Xbox and a PC? Okay. Do you like PC gaming more than you like PS4? What do you like better?
I feel like PC, I say this to everyone who gets a PC. PC is the devil because you can literally play everything. So not only does the equipment cost, you will spend a lot of games, but you will also get a lot of sales. So I will say one of my most precious possessions is my PC, because it just is my baby. Like anyone can tell you, oh, it's a piece of jewelry. Nah, it's my PC, mate. I can't leave without it. It's so good. But I do love PS4. Like that's a great system as well. I really do. And I was an Xbox person prior to that, so it took a lot for me to say that.
Yeah, I see that. So
I'm being serious. Okay.
I've always had games around. So I'll put it to you this way. I grew up with my brothers gaming a lot. I do game. I just don't game publicly. I'm too scared to stream. And Jayan is here today to try to convince me to do otherwise.
I am going to convince you. Yeah.
But I am I like fighting games. I'm a Tekken gamer from way back, and I like Mortal Kombat and things like that. RPGs, I kind of like them, but you know what it is? I make decisions all day. And so like at the end of the day, when you're asking me all these questions, no, I sat down, I want to kill somebody. Let me kill them and go back to what I was doing. Like you're asking me all these questions. Like every decision you make is going to affect the rest of the game. That's my life. I can't do this. This is way too stressful. But my boyfriend is a big gamer and a big RPG player. We have a PS4. My ex actually, I had a PS3 and a Wii and an Xbox. I lost those kids in the divorce. But the but the PS4 I have now, and one of the ways we bond and I relax is he plays games and I watch him. So he's my own personal Twitch. I just sit there watching him playing the game and cursing at the screen. And so I was fascinated by Ghost of Tsushima because I would like come in the room and he's sitting there like making a poem. I'm like, why are you making a poem? What is happening? But there are like these moments where you have to like write haiku, and where the character and the character sits in like a hot tub and relaxes. Like this game was making me rethink my life choices, because it was like this man is going off fighting all of these different characters, all this fighting in the middle of a war, taking on half of the Han by himself. And then he finds time to relax and have self-care. And I'm like, I don't do that now.
The game's putting you to shame.
I know. So we actually have a joke now. I'll be like, so have you written haiku today, babe? Are you all right? Do you need a moment to reflect?
That's cute. That's cute. I really want to try that game.
I think you'll like it. Also, it's gorgeous. It's like physically, like the images are gorgeous. Even I thought it was just, you know how the trailers look really cute, but then the gameplay, like that's how League of Legends got me. I'm seeing all these amazing videos and all these cute music videos and K-pop videos. And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play this game. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't move this camera. What's happening? I'm not a League of Legends player.
I could have told you about that game. So to give you a little background, I'm a Pisces, and so I like also to pride myself on like being a typical Pisces, which is we love to escape, we love fantasy. So games like Ghost of Tsushima, The Witcher 3, those kinds of games that allow you to escape into really hyper-realized worlds, you know, worlds that are so beautifully designed and painted. I just love that. Like that is my safe space. Like I love those kinds of games. So Breath of the Wild is another one where you can just go and do whatever you want. So I am so looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima, so much so that I've hardly watched any streams of it because I don't want that experience to be spoiled for me.
I'm sorry. I didn't need to tell you about the haiku.
No. I mean, like visually and all the quests and stuff like that. That's fine. Like that's all right. But like, have you played Witcher 3?
I've watched him play Witcher 3.
You in this watching by proxy. We're gonna get a controller in your hand at some point. I don't know what's going on here.
I watched, and it was fun watching him train the next generation of Witcher. I also kept trying to see how much he looked like Henry Cavill every time I played the game.
He does not.
He does not. You know. Just like Avengers, kind of like that. Doesn't look anything like the actors.
No, exactly at all. Which is kind of disappointing to me, but you know, budget.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to talk about, because not only are you a gamer, you're also like an entrepreneur. And then I was listening to some talk you gave that you majored in biochemistry.
Yeah,
girl,
that was my degree in uni.
My God.
So like growing up, I've always been like a nerd. So science was one of my first loves. And I actually think, being completely honest with you, it probably wasn't my first love. My family saw that I was good at it and kind of was like, okay, so it's your first love. And so science was always the path for me. And I always say this to people, like growing up from a Caribbean family who's come here to the UK during or after post-World War II to try and help rebuild the country, what a lot of parents and grandparents and that older generation want to do is have the best social impact within that generation. So they push you towards those kind of academic careers that, you know, you're going to be safe, you're going to be taken care of, and financially you'll be stable. So that's the path that I went down.
But yes.
Well, yeah. Like, and it's not necessarily make you happy, but
No.
make you, you know, financially stable. And so I followed science, and don't get me wrong, I was good at it and I enjoyed it. Um, but it kind of overtook everything else. So I also used to do ballet, tap, like all that pop locking, all that stuff. Like I was a dancer, and I have medals and stuff like that. I used to play piano. I used to play violin. I'm very much a
Oh my God.
multitasking child.
Our upbringing sounds so familiar. I gotta know where your mama from?
My mom was born here, but my mom's
Mm.
side of the family is from Jamaica.
Okay. See, my mother's from Bermuda, and it's the same thing. Put them in
Mm,
everything. I was in math and
everything.
science, and after school I had dance. And me and my brothers who are younger, they're twins. Everything. Like people were like, where did y'all hang out? I'm like, hang out? Like when the sun went down, I was in the house. There was no hanging
Yeah.
out. I don't know what you
Going
people.
where? Stay in your yard about. Mad. What you want to go outside for? Stay in the yard and practice
Exactly.
the book. That was it.
Exactly.
Literally.
I didn't honestly, I was stunned. I can tell you exactly where I was when I found out that college was an option. I was talking to somebody, a white kid in my class. I had no idea that college was
Who?
optional.
That
I
was not an
thought
option
it
to
was,
me.
right. It wasn't, but I mean, I didn't even know it was optional for the planet. Like, I knew after high school, you went to college. Like, that was just the next thing you did. I had no idea there was a thing. And the people are like, oh, I'm going to travel around the world. I'm like, how? How does that, how? Like, I'm going to find myself. You're right here. I don't know. I don't get this.
Yeah, I
So,
know. It's weird.
so when you decided to major undergrad in biochem?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did you go to grad school or no?
So I was going to do a PhD.
Mm.
The university that I was going to do a PhD at is one of the top in London, and it's funny because I had the money, so obviously you have to pay for that degree. I had the money to pay for the degree fees, but they wanted some kind of evidence of how I would sustain myself during the PhD, which I've never heard of them asking anyone else before if you can pay for the fees. And that was always the pushback on me, like, how are you going to look after yourself? I was like, oh, I'm going to live at my nan's. Like, there we go. I can get a part-time job. What do you want? And it was always a pushback and always a delay. And this went on for like 2 years. And during that time I was working, and then I just gave up. Literally, I gave up. I didn't feel encouraged enough. I didn't feel wanted enough. I didn't feel like it was easy for me to get in, even though I had a first class degree in biochemistry. And so after 2 years of kept like going back to the start of the process again, writing up my proposal for what I'd want to study and all this stuff, I gave up. And that's the honest to God truth. And I think that's why I'm so determined in what else I do, because I don't want to have that repeat of that negative experience. So yeah, so the money that we had for the actual degree, we put into buy the house instead, and that's where I live now.
Yeah, and but you have family there, to help and support you, and it's just
my family doesn't live here anymore. Mostly, they've
oh,
mostly moved abroad.
no, wait. Okay, you're in England. Abroad to you is here.
So no, well, my mum lives now in West Africa, and my nan obviously would move back to the Caribbean. She's back now just due to COVID, but she's moving back next year. So other than that, I have a brother here and some uncles, but they don't live in London. So technically, not really.
Oh, that's like me too. Like my family's all out of state. And it's like,
yeah.
So yeah, that's what also is weird about COVID. Like at the beginning of it, I had to go out of state to help care for my mother. And then I didn't come back for a while because New York was so crazy. And again, my family from the islands, like her family, like doesn't get it. Like, why don't you live all together? I'm like, because grown and in a different country, that's not going to work. Like I can't, even my mother will tell you, like, I love my child, but we are not living together. And it's different here. But I think it's interesting how that solitude and that, I'm in uni by myself, or I'm going to try and make a way for myself. Do you think that energy helped push you towards culture and being an entrepreneur? Because I think you did that one first, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze 2 seconds. I got hay fever.
It's okay. Oh, no.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you. So culture was the first one, and it's literally I always pay homage to my mum because she's very community focused. She's very black like first. She taught me a lot about my blackness, my heritage. Being Jamaican, we're very proud of where we come from. We know like we come from Nigeria and Ghana, and we're very proud of that, where we descend from. And she's taught me that from a very young age. Obviously, American history has been very prevalent in terms of American Black history, but she always made sure that I knew about our history as Caribbean people as well. And that's something I've carried in me for a very long time. She's never really empowered anything like colorism. Me and my brothers are all different shades. And we all love each other the same. I specifically pride on myself on empowering them and how they look and how they feel in their skin, because I know what the world does to young Black boys, especially when they're dark skinned, if they get either neglected or fetishized. So that's something that I've always carried in me in general, and that is something that I seek out in my friends. So my best friend Trina is very much the same, very much focused on, being empowering, beautiful Black woman who is very encouraging and a go-getter as well. And even at that point, starting culture, we didn't know that we would turn out to who we are right today or what we may be in the future. We started in my nan's front room, and it was just a case of seeing a lot of Americans do a lot of natural hair content and thinking, where are the British girls? Where are the Black British girls doing this? So we started that, just made the social media, started making content. And then 6 years later, we've traveled to multiple countries. We've worked tourism associations. We've been on BET. We've been on the news. We've been on radio. We're Palmer ambassadors. We've worked with multiple brands, and we're trying to do more. Like, we continuously want to do culture because we feel like the influencer market, especially with beauty and skincare and hair, always opts for one type of influencer. Well, two. Either you're light-skinned, loose curled, and I know I fall within that category, but I'm not trying to solely empower that category. Or you're maybe a darker skinned Black woman, but you wear a lot of straight hair. Well, specifically in the UK, that's how it looks like. Those are the kind of influencers get empowered. More power to them. They deserve everything because they work for it. But we also need to have space for the people who empower Black women to be their natural selves.
Yeah, with the 4C hair, with the 4C
right, with the
hair.
4C, not the loose curls, but the 4C, the tighter, kinky hair. The different women who like to play with their hair in different expressions. If they want to wear a wig, if they want to wear cane row the next day, bantu knots, just to show that variety of beauty and representation as Black women. And so we've always prided ourselves on being that and pushing that forward. And yeah, I love culture. It's one of the babies.
And honestly, it's first of all, it's fantastic, and also second, I when I found out, because like I said, I've learned about you as BlackGirlGamers founder first, and then I learned about Curlture, and I actually felt kind of guilty because I was talking to you about this before the show. I used to have a site called Savvy Brown, and it was about green, healthy living on a budget, and I talked about natural hair, natural living, how to save money. It's funny, had I kept it going, it would have been fantastic right now during the quarantines over here. But the thing that was always incredibly frustrating to me is that I would have people DM me and ask, oh, because I wear my hair several different ways. This is like pretty much natural. I got a head wrap on right now, but my hair is tight, kinky, and when I come out the shower, it shrinks up, and the way I stretch it is just 2-strand twist. Wash and goes don't work on me. They never have. They'll work on me if I'm in the salon and someone's like strand by strand. I don't have time for that. So my go-to, I'm more like Solange. My go-to is twist out. I'll twist out. It's in a fro. It's in a puff. And that's about it. If I got to do more than that, I can't flat twist. I can't do all those amazing things other people do. Nothing wrong with it. But I had so many people who would see my hair in a twist out and go, oh, I want my hair like that. Or send me pictures of somebody else to my site and go, oh, I want my hair like that. And I'd be like, okay, she's half Japanese. You're fully.
This is it.
You know what I'm saying. You are fully South African. This is not going to work. You are full Zulu. They are half Japanese. Your hair is never, ever going to look like that.
I don't think it's about like where you're from. I just think it's your hair type, because you can be
No, but
half
I mean on
Japanese and
the
have
but you've
type
seen this.
14 hair. But I
You've
know
seen
what
this.
you're referring to.
When
But
people
like,
wash their hair and on YouTube and they get out of the shower and they go, it went from this to this. And you're like, that's a texturizer. Your hair did not do that. Like, you're lying. I know you look at your face.
see,
I got
see,
tired of fighting that. I'm like, I gotta go. Y'all ain't listen to me anyway. And then I think I really gave up when I saw my first natural wig. Like it was like, go and get this wig. And maybe there were pieces. There might have been pieces, but it looked exactly like my hair. And I'm like, how am I gonna tell a girl to spend, 2 hours deep conditioning and she can just put pieces in her hair?
well, I'm not gonna even sit here and lie to you. Like, I feel like the UK completely went, oh, the natural hair movement.
Yeah.
Like, you guys had it much better in terms of just the mindset. Even if you don't do it completely, it's just it's an option. In the UK,
Yeah.
I think the way a lot of women view femininity and attraction and what external attraction are very much intertwined with one version of femininity, and that's something we are trying to show that that's fine if you want to do that, but there are also other options. And then sometimes we feel overlooked. Like it's not just because we have 47,000 followers that we don't get overlooked for things. We most certainly do. There's certain spaces where we're like, but you guys don't talk about this. We're the people who talk about this as influencers, and someone else will get the job. So we're like, cool, we're just gonna do what it is. And there are people who be like, oh, and this is something I've grown up with for a while. And I, as a young age, I didn't understand it because, again, my family's all different. You're Caribbean, like family's all different shades. So I kind of view everyone, specifically, obviously, under my mom's tutelage, that I view everyone as Black. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. I don't see anyone as, oh, you're light skinned, you're better, or you're dark skinned, you're worse. Like, I just saw everyone as Black until I went to school and I started receiving those messages externally, internally, and understanding. So why are people looking at me different now, telling me I'm not Jamaican because of the way I look? Like, all of these kind of things. So for me, like when people come to me on Curlture and they're like, oh, I love your hair, how do you get it that way? I'm like, I can show you the method, but it also depends on your texture. I have a certain texture of hair, and so it may not work on you the way that I do it, but what you should do is just take a look and take inspiration. That's the whole point. It's about inspiration, to feel free to explore your hair, not to have the same hair that I have. It's more about just to empower you to look at yourself as someone worthy of exploration. And that's the main purpose behind the platform. And we do get those kind of questions, but can't really,
so
people
funny.
who don't want to be taught.
Well, how did you take your love of this and your concept of this when you first started Curlture? And we're going to get to Black Girl Gaming in a minute, but when you first started Curlture, how did you decide, okay, we're going to monetize this? How did you do that? Or you're still working on that?
No, girl. We getting paid. Well, it's difficult. I think the influencer market is so new, and brands will try and pull fast ones on you all the time. But we knew when we reached a certain point and people were asking us for reviews and people were asking us to make content, we're like, well, you haven't paid for a laptop, you haven't paid for the Final Cut, you haven't paid for this computer camera, so we're charging you a fee for the production and all of that. And there was also those kind of difficult conversations where you don't know their budget. They won't tell you the budget. You don't know what you're worth because of your numbers. So there's been a lot of discovery and a lot of discussion with other creators. And this is what I say to creators all the time: talk to people about what you're getting paid. I tell people all the time. I was like, I have like a specific friend group in the UK of Black gamers, and they tell me what they get paid. I'm like, no, charge more. I remember there was a panel or something, and I was like, charge 700. And they were like, what? And I was like, you should charge 700. And it was just like,
April Rain was on the here, but I've spoken to her a lot. I mean, I consider her a mentor. And she said to me once, she said, whatever the project is, come up with your number and then think of a number so high it scares you and ask for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
If you got whittled down, then you're still content.
Yep.
Well, I think it's harder. I do think it's hard.
Yourself. Yeah.
And this is what I say to my friends. I have friends who are influencers that are trying to come up. And I'm always saying to them, at the end of the day, it's about your feedback loops. you need to train yourself to see yourself a certain way, to see yourself as having this value that you're providing. I tweeted out a thread recently on BGG about influencers and understanding specifically Black women, that you tick 2 boxes that brands are probably going to look to fill. And that is value, and you should be paid for that, because you're going to offer cultural capital that they cannot get with a white woman. And so I'm always about trying to talk to creators. I don't have all the time in the world, but when I do talk to people, I really hope that they heed the advice, because I'm not telling you to charge just to make you look bad. I'm telling you to get paid for what you're worth. And I think there's a lot of confusion and just lack of transparency, not just in gaming, but in every industry, beauty as well, where people, specifically Black women, don't know how much they should get paid.
And they know it, because they'll ask you to do something, and if you don't come back and give them a number, they'll just have you do it. No one's going to say, like, some people will. But I will say this, though. If it's a space that I've not been in, or it's a client or a person or a brand that I have not worked with before, that is not my usual space, and they want something small, like let's say I'm already using a brand of moisturizer, and they reach out and they go, hey, listen, we love that post that you just did. Do you mind if we use it on our page? If it's the first time, I will ask them to send me a release form so that they cannot use it after that one time. And then, and I'll let them have it. But that's one. If they come back, I'm like, oh, no, you had your one. So let me give you, and I will show you the numbers from what you got from your one. Because sometimes it's like, oh, we need to prove, here's your proof. I tracked my numbers from the post that you did with my face, and this is how much you got. That means I'm worth this. But I think that's what it is. We don't know how to track our own numbers. We don't know how to do that.
It's strategy. It's strategy and tools in that we need to know. And it's also understanding the difference between, because personally for me, I would, I do what you do, like what you've just said, but it's whether that brings value to me firstly.
Yes.
Like I think about, so is this brand going to be on my radar for something else? What can I do? Where can they bring me? What room can they put me in? And then if that overpowers how much effort I'm going to put in, I'll be like, cool, I'm fine. Because for me, that's not content creating, that's relationship building. And there's a difference. And I think you have to have a balance of that within your strategy as a content creator in any space, where you may have to take a little less. But at the end of the day, you can then promote that left, right, and center, and other people don't know how much you got paid. Like that happens all the time. I know people who do that actively, and it builds up their profile so well. And it's not that it's tricking anyone. It's the fact that they know their value, and so they've taken this opportunity to weigh the pros and cons, and they've seen this as a pro.
Yeah, I completely agree. I had, and I don't know when that you feel comfortable sharing, but I'll share one. A lot of people know that 20th Century Fox a couple years ago flew me out to New Zealand to the set of Alita Battle Angel. I was not paid to do that. I did not do that for Sci-Fi Wire. They flew the Blurred Girl out, and here's the thing: I use my access as a influencer to get the interview, and then I sell the interview. People think it's like, oh, you're getting paid. I said, no, I can get 4 interviews out of this one encounter and sell the interview to 4 different places, or sell the content, or sell the quote. People don't know that. They go, oh, well, they paid you to fly out there. No, they didn't. What I wanted to have happen is I wanted Sci-Fi to pay me to cover it. They didn't want to. They sent somebody else. And but I'm saying but that influence, I got to do a mocap session with Robert Rodriguez by myself.
This is it. Weigh the pros and cons.
Right. And so whenever any of those reps ask me to do something, now, yes, if it's something smaller now, I'm going to ask them for some money because they got numbers that I can prove off of the stuff that I did. But I don't know if you have any examples like that, but can you give for the people in the chat?
Yeah, of course. I'm still in the culture thread, so I'll continue with culture. But so, for instance, the first trip that we did abroad, so we've been to a number of countries. We've been to Jamaica, we've been to Tobago, we've been to Antigua, we've been to Grenada, we've been to France, we've been to New Orleans last year for Essence Fest, which was one of the best experiences of my life. But the first time we went away to Tobago, we had to pay for the flights, but we didn't pay for the accommodation. For the second time we went away, we had to pay for the flights, but we didn't have to pay for the accommodation. And then after making that content from those 2 trips, we were invited out to Antigua free of charge. We didn't pay anything. For Grenada, we paid for 1 flight. We stayed at 3 hotels. All the excursions and everything was paid for. The same for Antigua. All the excursions and everything was paid for. New Orleans, we didn't pay for jack, and we got paid. So
nice.
It's about building that up. Like, it's never going to be, I don't think it's always going to be a case where you get an opportunity and immediately, if it's in an area where you're building up your rapport, you're going to get paid what you deserve. And that's sad. It shouldn't be that way, but it is that way at times. But you have to see it as an opportunity to build. Take opportunities where you can see to build. And that's what we did. We built up our travel vlogs on YouTube. One of them's got like 20,000 views or something like that. That was the first one.
I didn't know you had a travel vlog. Wait a minute now. I didn't know you had a travel vlog.
So that's not even true. The first travel vlog we did was just a holiday that we went on with everyone in my family, went to Gambia, and we made a travel vlog of it. And then we used that travel vlog to say, okay, look, we do travel content. That was an expense to us. We went on holiday and just made a vlog out of it. And says, hey, we use travel content. That's when we started doing the workshops. And then that's when we started doing travel content for travel associations and building rapport with them. They reached out to us and we started creating relationships. The first trip that we went on to Grenada, which is the only trip I've had to Grenada, the first trip to Grenada took 2 years to build that relationship and get the trip free of charge, not paying for paying for 1 flight. And that's something that Tree and I, we always do that. And that's one thing that I'm grateful with Curlture, is that I have someone else to bounce the ideas off of, someone that grew up in the same area with me, has the same values and ethos as me, may have a different opinion, but we can always bounce back and forth and then come to a consensus on a decision whether to do it or not. And so that's how we did it. And so, yeah, I'm always about taking those opportunities where you might not get paid. It's happened for me, even in gaming as well, where, you might not get paid, but I think one of my strengths is knowing how to market things, and show people what I do and be very unapologetic about it. Like, I feel like people should show what they do more, in a way that will engage with people. Not look at me, but just say, okay, I'm doing this on Saturday. Like, you want to come by, and just be proud of that and just show what you do, because at the end of the day, that's it.
And give some value, some type of value.
Yeah.
Like, have y'all ever seen this before? This happened to me. Or if it's fun, access. I have access to something you don't have access to, but not like throwing it in your face. Just like, look, oh my God, guys, look at this thing. Because it really makes people feel like they're part of your community. I think people forget that. They're like, oh, I'm up here and you're down here. And I'm like, that doesn't really work, because Black women other people do that to Black women all day long. I'm not going to do that to my own sisters on a regular basis. You want to have a welcoming community. Now, speaking of welcoming community, catch that segue. Let's talk about Black Girl Gamers.
What made you segue? I love that. I can do that as well.
Tell me how or what made you just go, Black women who play games need a place, and I'm going to build one. What made you decide to do that?
So growing up, been playing games since I was like 6, 8. Between that age. I know I always tell different interviews of different ages. It's always either 6 or 8.
Just say 7. It's nice average, right in the middle.
One of them. And I've been playing games since that age, and a lot of my friends who play games are often white males. And I remember growing up, just like the white guy friends I had would never let me play when I went around their house. Like, it was them two, and they would never share the control. I had to get my mum involved, and my mum doesn't play. So she told her friend, who was their mum, let Jay play. And so just having those experiences, and then the emergence of online gaming racism and sexist comments, you know, like go to the kitchens, or you do like chicken, or all of them kind of stupidness. Just turn me off online gaming. Like I stopped online gaming for a while, went into RPGs heavy, which is why I love RPGs. And then I went to uni and I saw a friend of mine, another white male, who started his own gaming channel, and I was like, yo, I could do that. And so I was watching his gaming channel, and you know, a lot of his gaming channel, like his jokes and his comments would rest on one of two things: women being the butt of the joke, or using gendered like terms for, you know,
Things being
jokes or
bad.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
things
yeah.
being bad. And then, or two, using African American vernacular English when he's a Turkish British male. And then three, just humor that I just didn't get. I was like, yo, this is weak.
He's just being
I
trash.
don't,
He's being trash.
not even being trash. He's just like, this is dry. I need some seasoning. Like, this is weak. I don't like this content. So I stopped watching his content and started making my own. Then via making my own and posted on Twitter, I came across a couple of individuals: Justin from the 3/5 podcast, Asia from Thumbstick Mafia, Janae Benet, a queer called A Stylish Jedi. And those four were like the first kind of four people I met in the blurred scene. And then after doing Culture, I learned the skills from Culture about how to create community, how to foster relationships, and how to use what's true and dear to me, which is the empowerment of Black women, especially, to create a platform. So I created BGG. And fun fact that people don't know, which I just remembered the other day, this was really stupid. I actually asked someone to come and create BGG with me, but at the time she suffered a loss, so she couldn't step in. But at the time, I was like, do you want to do the US moderation whilst I do the UK moderation? But eventually I just did it myself. Because I think I was very used to partnering with someone after Culture. So subconsciously, I was looking to partner with someone. But I'm actually kind of happy I didn't, to be honest. It's allowed me to be very authentic with the voice, which is, I don't want people to soften the takes I have on the gaming industry. I think they're very valid, and I think they're very I think they need to shake people up and get them out of their comfort zones. So I started this space, and like Aquia, Janae, and Asia were the first people in there, and then, you know, word spread, it grew, and to currently have like around 6,700 members. And I will just say, like, you know, I know you made a point about earlier saying like balancing the two was difficult. For me, my strength is that I trust Black women, and I like to work with Black women. And I'm not to say that you don't, but just like those are the methods in which I share the work. I have a team. I have two teams now in BlackGirlGamers, Discord and Facebook, and people who support, whether they're inside or not, the community, just to look out for the community. And I think that's one of like the strongest points, is that people who truly value the community are vocal about it and they offer help. And I think that's the best thing. They're really, really supportive. For Culture, I share the load of tree. So, you know, I don't think people who are making changes or making platforms necessarily need to do it alone. And I'm always someone that doesn't want to do it alone. And I will never say I've done it alone. I always say I founded BGG, but I've done this with the community's help, and the community's involvement, because it's a community. Like, I can't just say like, okay, I founded BGG and no one had anything else to do with it and it was just me all alone. Like, no, I do a bulk of the work, but I also share a bulk of the work. Like that's what it is, and that's how I manage the time. Because honestly, there was a time last year where I burnt myself out, and I burnt I think others burnt out too. And so it's been a learning process to like learn how to manage that.
Yeah, I mean, for this show alone, I have a team. I've always worked at least with like one other person. Usually it's a virtual assistant or something like that. But like BlackGirlLIVE, and thank you to everybody who's helping behind the scenes, all the mods and all the amazing people. Because this was one space that I didn't know anything about before I started this show. And it's been a learning process these last 8 episodes. So I had to trust. And I think it's been amazing. And it's spreading to other parts of what I'm doing. And I'm just like you, trying to uplift. I think the part that's hard is that I work hard and I work a lot. And even
Yes.
though I've had a lot of people say like, oh, I want to help you. And they help. And then I come in, I'm like, all right, first meeting. And it's 2 hours and I'm going through onboarding and all the things that have to happen. And they're like, this is a lot. I'm like, yeah, but you thought it just
Yeah.
happened? Like out of thin air?
Yeah. Like, oh my
These
God.
graphics, you think these graphics gonna
You're
just build
preaching to
themselves?
the choir. There's
Like,
like, okay, like for me, it's the same. So there's this misconception that I don't have to work. I have a job. I have culture. I have Black Girl Gamers. I have a mortgage like anybody else. Like, and there is a lot of work that I do that people just presume is magically done. And I'm just like, no, bruh, that's not how it happens. Who makes the graphic? Who organizes? Who pitches the companies? Who has the calls? Who does all of this stuff? Who organizes? Who generates the ideas? Obviously, again, a team, but for like some of the things that I spearhead, that's taken out of spare time. It doesn't just happen. Like, you have to be on it. You have to be pushing it. And if being completely honest with you, if I wasn't like that, I don't think BGG would still be here today, because I would have just tossed it to the wayside. I would have been tired. But you got to do what you got to do.
see, this is why I don't play games, because I'm afraid if I played a game, I just sit there and never get off the couch because it's more fun. In fact, somebody in the chat is actually asking you, knowing what they asked Jayanne, knowing the Blur Girl, what game would you suggest for her to play?
I would suggest for you to play. You said you like fighters, right?
I do like fighters. Here's the thing. I did play a little of Assassin's Creed. I can get into a little bit of RPG, but there are certain things, like, I will tell you one thing. If I'm frustrated, I won't just put down the game. I'll put down the entire system. Like Mirror's Edge basically took me out of gaming for about a year and a half.
It's one of my favorite games.
I couldn't get off that roof. I couldn't get off that roof from the beginning, and I was done, because all the things that I knew about controllers and how they were supposed to work didn't work.
How about a nice little Animal Crossing? Maybe some ooblets on the side?
You know what?
Maybe.
I don't have a Switch, and I thought about getting one. You said some ooblets. I'm done with you. But Animal Crossing does look like a lot of fun. Somebody else was saying Fall Guys, because it's got that kind of same goofy energy. But I feel like that's like
you'll get frustrated.
Right?
You get frustrated, maybe. If someone is at that finish line and they toss you off the edge, I can see you putting down the whole console and never coming back.
Those cute little people, you can throw them?
Yep.
Oh, God. I didn't know that.
She's going to get thrown, you guys, and she's just going to hate it. I'm done.
I did not. Listen, the last time, it's funny. My boyfriend got me, oh, goodness, Abzu. And he's like, here, play this. I'm like, what is this? But you know what's really funny? I still do play a little Abzu every now and then when I'm super, super stressed out. So yes. I did think what was funny would be if I had like if I had on my channel like a chill out night where I'm just playing like Abzu, I'm just swimming and just playing around with, with the light and flying into the caves or something like that. But I'm like, that's boring. Nobody wants to watch me do that.
No, so I played Abzu as part of our wellness week. We have sometimes wellness weeks on BGG where we play just chill, stress-free games, and everyone comes by chill. Like specifically when COVID kicked off and when obviously a lot of racial injustice was happening, we decided to like allow all the violence, allow any horror, and just be like, just chill. And I played Abzu, and people came and loved Abzu. Like, so a lot of people haven't seen Abzu before. It's kind of like you either know it or you've never heard of it ever in your life. So people would love to watch you play Abzu, I'm sure. And I think there is a space, like there's I have a friend called Chasing Lux, and she does like meditation streams and stuff like that. I think there is a space for those kind of streams.
There's people in the chat asking what kind of game Abzu is. I always have a problem trying to describe it because, okay, it's definitely an underwater adventure, but there is no end to the game and there is no goal. There's no winning and there's no losing. You literally just swim and you find things. I don't know if there's a term for that kind of game, like just you exist.
I don't know how to describe it. It's like Journey, and there's one called Sky or Flight or something like this, like that as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't. there's another one that's out right now that's similar to that. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, Journey. It is Journey. Somebody in the chat, thank you, Bouncer, is saying Abzu and Journey. Yeah, that's my boyfriend. He's like, I got her Abzu and Journey because he just wants me to calm down. So maybe I will do. No one will understand that though if I do like a chill out thing. They're like, this isn't the blur girl we know.
No, you got to show it all sides.
Now, let me ask you about that self-care, because there is one of the reasons why I have not gamed online is I see how Black folks are treated, period. And every now and then, I'll never forget this. I watched Chuck play Division as a woman. He said, watch this. And he made a female avatar and played as her. And the amount of teams that killed him on purpose before they made that change, that you couldn't just, you're supposed to go back and purposely help your own teammates. And if you don't, you'll get kicked out of the game. I don't remember. There was like a rule they had to make. But the stuff that they would do and the stuff that they would say, and then it was just really funny if he ever let them hear his voice, they'd be like, wait, I thought you were a girl. So I was like, yeah, see, reason number 457 why I'm not playing with these people. Because I'm not going to fight with like a 16-year-old who's going to just call me a string of racial expletives. Yeah. You know what I mean? So how do you create those safe spaces? Do you just go online and game as a team together for like BlackGirlGamers?
I don't play with anyone that's not a BGG, apart from my close personal friends who I now have Black male friends who are gamers. My boyfriend's a gamer. Like, other than outside of that friend circle, I don't play with anyone else that isn't a BGG or I don't know personally. Like, if you ask any BGG, they'll know, like, Jayan doesn't answer her friend requests, and sometimes BGGs get caught up in there. I am so bad. I have my people that I play games with, and I'm trying to get better at expanding that list, but I literally don't expose myself to that. And that is, I think, maybe a little PTSD from my experience playing online and all that stuff, and just throwing down the controller and just leaving my Xbox because I was just so upset because gaming was my chill time. My mom knew, like, it was annoying because I would go to school, do my homework, all this thing, so like I could play games because that was the agreement with my mom to then receive the treatment online. I'm like, so F it, then I don't want to do it, you know? And so, I think for now, I don't see a need to play with anyone else that isn't a BGG unless I know you personally. And yeah, I see play with me as a privilege, no offense, because I'm a whole ass fool. Like, I will do the foolishness in games and it's an experience, but I see it as anyone who doesn't know me, you want to play with me, that's a privilege that I'm giving to you. Anyone who knows me, maybe it's not a privilege, but anyone who doesn't know me and they specifically ask to play with me and they're not a BGG and they're just a random person, I'm like, why am I letting you into my space? That's a privilege that you're getting. Gaming is my space.
Well, how do you keep your space safe? Because I know on a personal level that you will vet everybody that comes into the group, and you vet even sponsors and things like that, and you have a 10-point platform and program to make sure that everybody stays safe. So, but how do you establish that? How did you learn? Like, when you first started, did you have that, or did you have to learn from some people joining the group that should not have been there?
It was a learning process, most definitely. I think at the beginning of BGG, and I think Lady Ray Karge's in there. Queer was one of the first mods. I think at the beginning we were very much so, like, it was very small, and so we would vet people on their identity. We'd have specific rules about, no homophobia, no transphobia and stuff, but we would let people who just said, yeah, I'm a BGG in. Do you get what I mean? Like, in terms of not vetting their behavior outside of those protected categories.
They can still be toxic.
Precisely. So moving on from that now, and just learning, everything that we do in BGG is always learning and always improving. So we've recently just installed a verification system in our Discord with a Discord team that is new, and they're amazing. And that's one way where we keep it safe, because one thing that BGGs were doing was giving our link out to other people who had not been vetted. So we locked off the whole thing, lock off, everything done. We were like, no, this ain't happening. I don't care who wants to leave. We don't care about numbers. I can tell you BGG has 6,000 today and 2,000 tomorrow. It won't make a difference. So the whole thing was lock off. And then we started the verification process with a bot that Rexy did. And now it's safer. The same with the Facebook. There's rules. There are units that you complete.
how do you, before you go to the Facebook, because Facebook's
Mm.
a whole nother thing, but how do you,
Yeah.
the bot, what does the bot do exactly? And this is just because I'm a newbie. Don't yell at me in the chat, okay?
No problem. No problem. So basically, how the system works is that everyone who's a member of BG has to be a member of the Facebook. We know Facebook's not the most preferable platform for everyone. I personally love Facebook, but I know like other people don't have it. And so if you don't have it, it's an unfortunate shame, but you can't be part of BGG because that's how we measure. It's a brilliant tool on how we measure people who come in, how we check your background, check also your posts if you're transphobic, problematic. Like that's the way we can check your profiles. They also allow questions. So we have 3 questions that you answer, and you have to agree to the rules of the space before you even get in. First time. Get into the space, you are welcomed and you're tagged in an announcement post with all the rules and all the information about the group. Second time, you get the rules. Third time is you have to complete the units, which has all that information. Then you come into the Discord. Yeah, you come into the Discord, you put your name, you read the rules, 4th time, and you respond with an emote. The emote will allow you to get into the verification channel where you put your Facebook name. Once we've verified that you are indeed a member of the Facebook, then you're free to use the Discord channel. And there's like a lot of stuff in there, not just gaming, like beauty, wellness. We will have movie nights on a Friday. We were watching Underworld last night. It was really fun.
That you do like the movie night and stuff is on Facebook, or the movie nights inside the Discord?
Discord and Netflix party.
Okay. That sounds like fun. I think I want to join. If I want to join, how do I do that?
Join via Facebook. Make sure you complete all the questions. You have photos on your profile that are not uploaded recently, because that's the first way to tell that someone's just stolen pictures from a Black woman and put them on their profile, which people do.
Yeah.
And agree to the rules. And we usually approve about 50 people every 2 weeks. It is a very high interest group. So there is always a wait in line. Like that's something we can't help. There's always a wait in line. But the Facebook team is amazing.
There's Black girl gamers that are part of your group that are in our chat that are like just bigging it up. They're like, it's amazing. This is the most amazing group I've ever been in. It's lit. So what you're doing is actually working. And I know some people might think like, God, that sounds excessive. It's like, have you been a Black woman on social media recently? Because one of the reasons why I don't game and game in public, but I might do it through Black Girl Gamers, is because I talk about comics and anime and stuff all the time and get dragged for filth on Twitter and Facebook and stuff. And so a lot of people might say, oh, I don't see it. I said, I stay blocking people, but I get emails, I get DMs, there's some nasty stuff that gets said. So why would I open myself up to more of that? Which is why I have usually gamed in private. But what you're explaining to me sounds like such a fun, like get through that. It's basically like going through security at the airport. Just get through security. It's a little bit frustrating, but it's there to keep everybody safe. And I think that's great, because then I would feel really comfortable sitting in, because honestly, I'm not in that many Facebook groups. People try to put my name in Facebook groups. I am not in most of those groups. But that's
really dropping me for no reason.
Oh my God. I had people hit me up too. Don't you hate that when somebody goes, I see you're following so-and-so, you know they're a problem, right? I'm like, first of all, who is this? And second, who are they?
Nah, I ain't gonna pay for that kind of crap. I'm sorry. I dare someone to tell me that, I really do. I dare you. And what you're gonna do? Sorry, move. Sorry. I ain't got time for you. That's one thing. Like with a lot of drama and all that stuff that happens in gaming, unless it's overtly serious, I don't pay attention to it, because like I said, I have a job, I have culture, I have the plans for BDG that take time to execute. Like it's not just a one and done thing. It takes time. It takes fostering relationships, all we've mentioned. So I really have time for that. And I know, like, even though I said it's a lot with the verification processes, and people in the chat can verify this, it's actually not that lot. Like it seems a lot, but it's literally not that bad. We've made everything so simple in the units. You read it, they're done. The names are there. You have a problem, you contact the mods. Everything's there. Like we've made the information so easy to access, so that if anytime you have a problem, for the most part, the question's already answered. And I can tell when someone hasn't completed the units, because they're asking me a question that's already answered in the units. So it's very much an
Like, go
easy
do your homework.
orientation.
Go do your homework and come back.
That's exactly what we say. Have you completed the units?
So tell me about some of the projects that Black Girl Gamers has done, and then I also want to talk about how you've done influencing, like what you've learned from Curlture in terms of influencing, how that's affected influencing and actually getting sponsorships and things like that for Black Girl Gamers. So first, what are some of the events that you've done, and what are the ones that that worked, and what are ones that you said, we're never doing that again?
I mean, I don't think I've ever said that before, to be honest with you. So the very first events that I've done for BGG was a panel for the V&A, 2 panels curated for the V&A, and the first panel was completely Black, called DIY Generation, with Saga, the Nerd Council, Mr. Midas. And basically, it was about the people who are changing gaming, who don't work in gaming as an employee or as a as a company, but they have their own platform, similar to myself, where we've created our own equity in the industry without having a formal gaming background. And then the second one was about changing games beyond the screen, so people who are developing and changing games. We had Des Gale, Phoenix Perry. We had also her name escapes me right now, but she used to be the chief of diversity for KINK as well. And so we had a discussion about changing games, the marketing and all of that stuff at the V&A. That was the first one. And because of Curlture, so for Curlture, I've done a lot of speaking on Black beauty. I've done a lot of panels. I've done a lot of appearances, spoken on news and TV. All of this was not new to me. I just had to take those skills and put it into gaming. And before I even started BGG, I sat watching the gaming industry for a while and the conversations online for a while to see what the relationship between Blackness and gaming was. And very much so, from my opinion, that it was very either you are the cool Black dude in gaming, you are someone who is, I don't want to say that everyone who existed in gaming who was Black was palatable, but a lot of people who were in there were not as open or forceful about diversity in that way. There were a lot of people who I observed, and actually no one that I actually pay attention in this way at the moment. But so the people that I did see, and when I was doing the research, weren't exactly as vocal as I expected them to be. So there was a bigger gap between diversity in gaming than there was in beauty in gaming, in my opinion, in terms of the visibility. When I did that initial research, and that research might not even been accurate, because it might have been a very short snapshot of the industry, but it gave me the tools, the knowledge that I needed to know to take what I created at Curlture and be like, cool, I can be vocal here and turn it into a platform and create a safe space. And so that was how I did it. And then the events that we've done recently, so we've done obviously the Black Girl Gamers Summit, which was sponsored by Twitch, powered by Twitch, apologies. And that was something that I had an idea from last year. And I remember talking to Seeker and Nitz about it, 2 BGG members that were part of the management team at the time. And it was a lot of work. They're like, Jay, that's a lot of work. And at the time it was, so I didn't do it. But sometimes the ideas that you create at one point do not have to be discarded. They just need to be saved from when you work to another point where you can enable it to happen. So working with Twitch, they enabled us to have a production company who then helped us with vMix and all this stuff for all the various panels and stuff.
Okay.
So that's how that happened. And I want to be really transparent about that, because I feel like there are people who want to do these things and they're not aware of how to do it. I didn't do all of the production. I also spoke at an organization called Super Union, an amazing marketing company that does a lot of marketing within gaming. I spoke there for Women's Day, International Women's Day. And then we continued again.
Is that the one where you were sick? Is that the one where you were speaking last year?
That was EGX. Okay. That was EGX. I was mashed up that day. I was so bad.
But you pulled it off. I didn't know you were sick, so you said it at the end. But I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say it was a fabulous, fabulous speech. And if I find it while the show is happening, I will put a link in the chat, because that speech was an entire semester of a class.
Thank you. It was you can find it on the EGX YouTube channel. But yeah, so I spoke at sorry, go on.
No. I was just saying I
Oh,
wanted to hear more about how Twitch, and you were saying you're being transparent, and how Twitch
yeah.
and other people helped you put this together. People think you
Yeah.
just did it, but it wasn't just you.
I mean, the idea was mine. Not gonna lie to you. The idea was
Yeah,
mine. I have
but
an
the
agent
execution.
who the execution was not. So I had the idea, and my agent, who I have, helped me pitch it to Twitch. The relationship was already there between myself and Twitch, but I always include my agent because he knows the conversations, he knows the terminologies, he knows the things that I should be asking around usage, around distribution, around all of those kind of things. So I got him involved in the conversation, and we fostered that relationship. And myself, and I don't know if she wants me to say this, so I don't want to put her out there just in case, but it was
Okay.
myself and someone from Twitch who was really, really supportive. And so she was like, yeah, let's get this done. So all of the curating of the panels was me. I did ask for I did a focus group in BGG, put the idea towards them and said, these are the kind of panels I'm looking to do. You know, what is your feedback? What do you think? And a lot of people came to that focus group and just gave me a bunch of ideas to note down on that. And some of them already I had down already. Like I just thought, because when you're privy to a lot of conversations in the community, you can preempt what people are going to ask. So some of them are already written down, and others I was like, oh, that's great, I'll try and incorporate it. And so there were relationships that I had been fostering for a while. So for the visual side of the summit, again, I mentioned that I would talk to Super Union for International Women's Day, continued that relationship and asked them if they wanted to be involved in the summit, to which they said yes. What do you need? I was like, we need the graphics for the production side, and they whipped them up, and they were super supportive, and they just support, like, all the brand visuals is from Super Union. They're an amazing business. And
Okay.
so the relationships that I curated over years. I said this on the panel with Angela Roseborough. I just shot my shot on LinkedIn because she's someone that I had admired for a while. And, you know, she's an amazing, supportive person that I always support no matter what she does, because I know she's coming from a good place. And so that's
Hmm.
how I created those relationships to create the summit. And then I had the BGD team moderating the stream at the time, and coming through and just supporting. To be honest, the Twitch team also was there to back up on the moderation, but there wasn't much. I didn't see any toxicity in there at all, to be honest
Oh,
with
that's
you.
lovely.
Yeah, we kind of pre-warned people that, you know, we've got the Twitch moderation team and the BGG team. So if you want to try it, go ahead and try us in the little
But you
chat
will
box
get
that
kicked
comes
out.
up.
Yeah,
Right,
like you will be
straight
kicked
away.
out immediately. Like,
Right, exactly. So,
um,
yeah, go on.
no, all I was gonna say is I just wanna, before we move on, I wanna talk about certain things that even
Mm,
this is the thing that I love about when you give speeches and when you talk about what you're doing. And I think this is the biochem side of your brain. You are very good with data. You're very good with data. You're very good with like focus groups, like you mentioned, focus groups. I'm talking to the people that I'm going to sell them on, excuse me, and I know exactly what they want because we had a focus group. I've covered this. Here are the numbers. You said you have an agent. A lot of people as casual gamers wouldn't think that. Now I don't know if this is the same agent that you use for Curlture, but I'm
no.
the even pitching, you know that this needs to be somebody who understands Twitch culture, that understands advertisers in this space. These are things that people don't normally do. They're like, well, how do I shoot my shot? It's like, okay, no, you were shooting your shot just to get a conversation with somebody that could give you advice on doing this. But
Mm.
talk us through how you get that focus group set up. Talk us through, is this something that Black Girl Gamers, because you can put out a focus on Twitter right now and nobody will answer.
Mm.
So is this
Yeah.
something that people are used to doing inside of Black Girl Gamers? Have you primed your audience for them to know that, oh, I'm going to ask you some questions and I need this feedback to keep this going?
That's a good question. So we do Facebook live sessions in BGG, like monthly. We something started this last year, and sometimes the mods join me on it, and we just run through the rules. We have a Q&A section, we have a suggestion section. We talk about upcoming games. We talk about changes, and I think that primes to open the conversation between the people and the mods. And then all the time in Facebook, we're always making announcements. We open the comments. You know, people can respond. I seek advice, and I primed the audience by telling them what I was doing. So I was like, I'm pitching this event. this is step one. I'm going to keep you updated. The next step, this is the update, blah, 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 blah. Okay, the next step, the update is here. I would love to get a focus group on this. Meet me in the voice chat at this time on this date. Feel free, not pressured, like you don't have to come, but if you want to make some contributions toward the summit or learn more about it, come by. And about 20 people showed up, and I took down notes from everyone. And yeah, that's how I did it. I think we always encourage, myself, the mods, we always encourage that conversation between members and us. We're not above you. We love the space. We're in the space because we need the space too. And I think that's a misconception about BGG mods. Sorry. There's a misconception that we're just trying to, like any mods in any community management site, because I know this is not exclusive to BGG, but we're just kind of have control and we're just trying to be mean. No, we're doing it because there's 6,000 people and we have to keep the space fair. So with that, we kind of allow these conversations to have between the community members and the mods. And so I think that was already primed to have that focus group. And if people showed up, people who show up will show up. If they don't, then they can't, or they don't want to.
But I mean, I think it's fantastic how you do that. Also, how do you get an agent as a casual gamer? How does that work?
I'm not gonna lie.
Is it a BlackGirl? Is it a BlackGirlGamers agent, or is it Jay Ann's agent?
Jay Ann's agent and also BlackGirlGamers. So he handles those two. So he does like my personal work, and he also does he'll help out with BGG stuff. So the summit, like he helped out with that. So with that I didn't seek an agent. He was recommended to me because there's other people who I know who are signed onto his agency too. So that wasn't something I sought out, but it's something that has made my life so much easier. And I have benefited from it. And so I say this to people. Maybe you're not. Maybe it's not that. Maybe you need to have an agent when the time is right. Because I didn't have one before, and I don't think the time was right before. I have one now because I think the timing is better. And I'm looking to hopefully in the future offer the same kind of services to BGGs and specifically prominent Black female streamers. That's something I'm working on behind the scenes. I'm not going to say too much more than that, but yeah.
That's amazing. No, because not only does it take the weight off of your shoulders, now I understand why it's so hard to get in touch with you, but it also gives you the freedom to learn and to turn around and say to your community, okay, this is what I've learned, this is how you can. I mean, I'm all about that. I don't care where you work, what you do, take something from that place and teach the person behind you. And I go through that also even when I'm working on stuff and I'm trying to expand, but I tell people I'm training you because I don't want to do this again. I don't want to train the next person. I want you to be here and move up so I can have you train them. I don't want to keep doing this. I want you to learn. So let's talk about getting some of those branding opportunities through BlackGirlGamers, which is going to be a little bit different, I'm assuming, than Curlture.
No, not really. To be honest with you, I'm going to be completely honest with you. My agent doesn't get any work for me. He literally doesn't seek out. It comes to BGG. And one thing I pride myself on is that's because of the brand that I have built. Again, I think there was a lack of visibility of people who were very outspoken and very forward with being proud of being Black and being a gamer and not assimilating to the predominant whiteness in the space. I don't do it, and I will never do it because it just doesn't work with my DNA. And so there were things that I would talk about, like Overwatch having a lack of a Black woman. People expect me to carry everyone's diversity on their back. I'm not going to do it. I will be proud for you when you have your representation, but I'm not going to carry anyone else's representation on my back. And so, like, having that stance, I think someone has told me this. Like, I'm not just pulling this out of my butt. Someone has told me having that stance set the brand apart. And that's why I still control mostly the social media, because I want that authenticity to come through. I don't tweet anything that isn't authentic. It could be wrong. It could be mistaken. I will sit there and apologize, but I never tweet anything that is not authentic to the ethos that I have built for BGG, because I feel like Black gamers need it. I don't want Black gamers to feel like they need to assimilate into this dominant dude bro culture to be considered a gamer or to be considered visible and valuable to the gaming industry. That's not my portion. I'm very Caribbean. I love beauty. I love makeup. I love all these kind of things that people wouldn't associate with gamers. But I want that to be very, very clear that this is what needs to change, that needs to be included. And so having that brand of authenticity and being unapologetic, I think, and someone specific in a brand and company has told me this, has set the brand apart. People were scared of BGG initially, but now the tidings have changed because of a lot of things, and because of the narratives that we have not spun, that's the wrong word, have what's the word?
The story that you've created. You basically, you're the Black Girl gaming ethos is you have a brand. And it's funny that you said they were scared of you before, because I have that. You're sitting on a show that would not go through other places because it is too Black and too much. And I've always found it really funny when somebody goes, oh, the Blur Girl is like, that's too much. I'm like, I'm too much? Have you been on Twitter recently? Like, I just think it's really funny.
Yeah.
But that's why spaces like this, like right now, is an excellent time. Like, I'm inspired by people like you and other people that have gone on here and just said, I'm just going to do this myself, because there's no reason why we can't. And now that, which leads to my next question. Now that being Black and being proud and is so popular, even though we've been here, how do you keep that authentic voice? Because now there's other people out here who sound very authentic, but maybe this time last year, or maybe even 6 months ago, we're not sounding that authentic. How do you share the space with them? And how does that affect you when you're trying to get brand deals right now? Or does it?
That's a very, very good question. I love that question. I think a couple points there. If I don't get a brand deal, I don't get a brand deal. At the end of the day, and this is going to sound very egotistical, BGG is BGG. There ain't no other BGG, right? So if you don't want BGG, cool. Fine, someone else will want us, because what we've created, what I've created, and what the community has helped me to create, ain't no replication out there right now. Especially in some terms of being authentic and the feel that we have, there is no replacement at the moment. And even if there is, we will empower that replacement. There are other communities that are made of Black women. I'm not going to challenge you. I'm not going to compete with you. In fact, I've worked with many just because I want that to happen. So it's not really about that competition. And I think if anyone knows me personally, you'll know, like, it's never about that, ever about that. Like, I will go out of my way and give people opportunity. Like, it's never ever that competition mentality. Like, there's the only time, and it's going to be completely honest with you, the only time I will side-eye people is if you've done something personally to me, and this is something that has happened in the game industry, and that's something that I don't like, because I don't like bad mind people at the end of the day. Especially when I've never done. I'm very much a Pisces, very sensitive, very much trying to do the best for everyone other than myself, which is probably why I've created very much community-focused platforms. And I will never go out of my way to hurt someone. But if I see you talking bad about me or anything like that, I just won't mess with you. I won't say nothing towards you. I just won't mess with you anymore. And that's it. And then the whole thing about being Black and popping, now.
You said Black and popping.
I feel like Black and popping is true. I think the main thing about that right now is, like, there are two sides. We have to allow Black people to unlearn their anti-Blackness. I'm very much a person who allows people to develop in their mindsets, as long as I see it authentically, and that's fine. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, last year you were saying this and none of that. Like, everyone has to, unfortunately, because of the society we live in, everyone is probably got some kind of an internalized anti-Blackness in one way, shape, or form. And so for you to have space to learn that, who am I to judge you when I've probably gone through the same thing, or someone else I know has gone through the same thing? You know, that's something that I feel like we should allow people to have, that space to do so. And it looks different.
Like, you're in England, I'm in the US. I can tell you it looks different from New York to Florida. Nobody's looking at Florida right now, but it looks different from New York to Florida. But it definitely going to look different from the United States to the UK, because many times from our perspective, I've spoken to many Black Americans who think that, oh, it's so much easier for Black folks in England. And I'm like, I'm gonna need you to talk to somebody who's Black and British.
And let me say something about that, because I'm not going to sit here and act like we have had the same history in the UK. Very much a lot of Black people who have been in the UK have not had the tenure that African Americans have or Black Americans have in America. You guys have 400 years. Most Black people in the UK come from either the Caribbean or Africa, and we've been here for maybe 2 generations. And other people who were not 2 generations, sorry, 2 centuries maybe. There were people, Black people in Europe, don't get me wrong, but in terms of this mass migration of Black people, it's been most recently during Windrush and just maybe a little bit prior to that as well. So specifically into London and all like other major cities. So there's a difference in history there. And one thing I will say about being Black in England, the police are not allowed guns. If they were, it would be Black people being shot first, because they stop and search us first. They will, and this happened to one of my cousins, will arrest you and bring you back the next day without telling your mum. Like, they will do that to Black people first. So if we don't have the guns, and so they can't shoot us, but if they did on a major scale, Black boys specifically would be the first ones to go down. And I firmly believe that, because they are threatened by us. And
I don't think a lot of people understand that the cops in the streets of England do not have guns. Over here, they're kitted out like Master Chief. So I'm just saying.
That's how I know you're a gamer, making gaming references.
I know what they have. Like, they're kitted out. No, I'm serious. The NYPD a month ago, when they were trying to quell the protests, and this is the other problem, there were people showing up. This is not an open carry state. Like, so that's the other thing that we have here. Some civilians are allowed to carry weapons unconcealed in certain states. Florida is one of them.
That scares me. I'm not going to lie to you. I know about the open carry. I've got family in America. So I got family in New York. Any Jamaican has family in New York, Florida, Canada, and London. And that's exactly where I have my family.
Yes.
So I know about open carry states.
But this is not an open carry state. And there are people showing up that people thought were police because they had more weapons than the police.
Was that the pictures that I saw, right? Like, we're turning up at City Hall or something like that?
Yeah, there were people, yes. But see, that wasn't New York. That was an open carry state that was happening. And they protested City Hall, and that's why they were able to walk into City Hall with those weapons and say, we demand our rights. But the moment Black people marched without weapons, they still were shot in the face with. And this is the thing, non-lethal rounds. I need people to understand that a non-lethal round, I'm looking for something on my desk, like a non-lethal round can still be the size of it's like a bullet the size of a baseball or a golf ball. So
Jesus,
like you can still do, so yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So, and that is the other reason why, like, outside, like, there's so many people that play games to escape. And it's so interesting when we were talking about these different types of gamers. There are many people who are white or non-Black that will play games as an escape, and then will use Black colloquialisms and racist terms and all kinds of stuff because it's their escape. They're just blowing off steam. And then when you say, okay, but you were literally blowing off steam by using the language that people used to threaten my people. No one, it's like, I didn't realize I was doing that. It's like, so yeah, I don't, we didn't mean it. What?
What is in your vocabulary? Listen.
Well, because it's in their parents. That's the thing nobody wants to talk about. Because if you have a 10-year-old that's gaming, that's using some of the language that we're talking about, that you're thinking it's coming from an adult, they didn't just learn that overnight. They learned that from their friends. They learned that from their family. It might not be in their immediate family. People also don't want to take responsibility for their kids. Like, your kid
100%.
is a problem. Like,
yep.
So
100%.
Now, in terms of playing, and we're going to get to questions in a minute, because I know there's people like, wait a minute, I have things. I will give this one question because it's very relevant right now. What do you think is the best and most effective way to deal with toxicity in our communities when it does become an issue? So, okay, say they're not on BlackGirlGamers, but they are gaming with their friends. and there's somebody who, now again, if you're on Twitch gaming with a friend, it's just you and your friend in your headsets. You shouldn't be randomly inviting people into your game that way. But I'm thinking in the chat and in Discord, they might be able to set up some bots or things like that to help them, or just at least some checks and balances, or have a mod. Like, I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I'm starting. I have a baby Discord. I'm not telling y'all where it is, because I haven't made it full yet because I don't have a mod. I know I need a mod. Like, I can't do it by myself. Like, I need. I aspire to have the team that Jay and Lopez has. I'm not there yet. I know my limitations.
Let me think. So it's been a learning process as we go, and I've had to lean on people. I am not a Discord expert myself. People like Nits and Rexy have been the people who have basically built out the Discord into the shape that it is today. I've done some work and ask for capabilities, and then they kind of know more about the capabilities of the platform, and then can build that out in the back end. I've had to rely on people who are committed to the what the brand represents. I would say but BGD is huge, right? We have over 1,000 people in the Discord, so it's a different level. I would say, like, it depends on how active you want your Discord to be. And I would say lean on the people who support your brand. And obviously, thank them for their time, all that stuff, and reward them if you can. But like, just the people who are loyal to your brand and understand what you're trying to do, those are the main people to lean on. And I think you can get BGGs that are toxic, we kick them out. And that's one thing. Like, there'll be people like, oh, BGD, that's because we kicked your butt side out because you don't abide by rules. I have listen, people will tell you all the time, I don't care.
But you know what? I think that's the thing that we also have to and I know we could have a whole other episode about this, but something else that we also have to talk about is a lot of the toxicity, I know specifically for me in comics and anime and things like that, a lot of the toxicity is not coming from white people. It's coming from Black men. And it's not all the time. I'm not saying all Black men, but I have a particular way that I speak to everybody that's engaging with me. You could be a purple unicorn, but if you're a racist purple unicorn, you will get kicked out the club too. And I think that's part of the problem. I think, and we even see this when we look at things like Breonna Taylor. Like when a Black man dies, and I'm not saying any of this is good. I'm just saying, look at, everybody was sort of saying, let's deal with Floyd first, and then we'll worry about Breonna. But Breonna still hasn't been solved. Why are we not marching and still jumping up and down for Breonna like we were for Floyd? So that, and I'm only using that as an example because I feel like that happens in all levels, in all areas of Black women's lives.
Yep.
So if I say, and I've done this brother is a problem, I'll have other brothers be like, are they really? Or are you just sensitive? And I'm like, I shouldn't have to repeat myself. If I tell you I'm not comfortable with this person being in my group, I'm not telling you to get rid of him. I'm saying I don't want them in this DM, or I don't want, and I've had to do this with toxic sisters too. So I think the thing that we also need to stop doing is coding everything like, well, they're probably fine. I mean, they're Black, right? And it's like, Stairs and Candace Owens.
Exactly. I think, I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't know who Candace Owens is. But
oh, you're so cute. She's that one Black American woman. She's a one Black American woman who loves Trump and thinks Black people are a problem. Yeah, look at Jay's face. Yes, they exist. And she's been very vocal about it.
She's one of those two women that were jumping up and down at the
no
rally.
That's another person. This woman has, like, looks like she's college educated and goes on talk shows and everything, and she talks about how Black folks just need to get it together and quit complaining because Trump is doing a fine job. And nobody was misquote me because I didn't say that. Candace did.
Wow.
But
okay,
we're not going to get all political here. The point is, I was just educating Jay. The point is that sometimes we have to be willing to listen when even our own are saying that other people are problematic. Men, 100%. Women, anything in between. And I don't know the best way to do that. You said
I think
earlier, I don't
yeah,
mind
go on.
kicking people out, and I could go down to 2,000 followers tomorrow and it wouldn't bother me. Some people are terrified to do that. Some people are like, yo,
Yeah.
I just made 10,000 followers and now I have people that are willing to promote me, or now I'm getting my first brand deal. And if I drop down to 5,000 tomorrow because I kicked this person out, that's money.
I mean, I get that, and I won't ever say that that's not valid at all. But I think just for me personally, one thing I keep mantras in my head, and it's it sounds very like, oh my god, cliche and all this stuff. But one thing I say is that if I've built it once, I can build it again, and that's a capability that I always say to myself. And so with this, and I always have to think, I'm very empathetic, I'm very diplomatic. The mods always crack up at me because they're like, oh, Jay's gonna come with a very diplomatic way to solve the situation, and that's just the nature of me. But sometimes it doesn't call for that. So there was an instance in BGG where there was like a spat between two BGGs that actually lived together or in something like that, and there was some claims about something, and I just had to nip it in the bud. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not involved in whatever you guys have going on, but you got to go. I can't have the community being involved in this situation, and you got to go. And I don't know what exactly happened. Like, I cannot tell you the truth. All I can tell you is that for the good of the community, sometimes people have to go. And that's the one thing. Again, I'm not building a sports brand. I'm not building a brand about lipsticks. I'm building a brand about people. So the good of the people has to come first. And in a way, obviously in a way that is manageable for everyone. And that's, for me, like, I can't have people who are toxic. It doesn't make sense. It's contradictory to the purpose of that platform. And so, like, the mods talk a lot, we talk a lot to each other, whether you're a Facebook mod or a Discord mod, we communicate a lot. If we see something in the streets, in the Twitch streets, we'll bring it to the Discord and keep aware of this person. Like, we are very paying attention to the people we have, for the most part, in the community as much as we can. Obviously, there's a lot of numbers, and so we may miss things, and we appreciate when people bring it to us because then we can deal with it. It's never like, for me, like an attack on BGG. So this is a person you might need to keep an eye on, and I'm happy for that, because at the end of the day, you can't have a community with integrity if you've got like bad apples just dotted in between. So I think with the toxicity, you just have to kind of weigh up, what is benefit to you. And again, that situation that you put forward is very valid, and this is the problem with sometimes the industry. It's difficult for you to navigate these gray areas. There's no right or wrong. There's just your decision and the consequences, and you have to kind of live with it.
Now, one of my last questions before I get to everybody else's questions: how do you separate brand opportunities for JN from brand opportunities for Black Girl Gamers?
I ask, who do you want? Literally, if they say they want Jay to come and do a talk, then that's something that only I can do. So cool, right. I will do a talk. And there's other opportunities where we would like a member of BGG. I'm like, cool, that's for a member. That's not for me. And if they want more, it depends on what the brands want. So if they want more discussion around diversity and inclusion and methods in which companies can, then obviously, again, that brings it back to me. But for instance, there's a campaign that's happening with a streaming platform that I'm putting 3 BGGs forward. It's not for me. That's for them to do. Bringing BGGs along to events that I go to over abroad. I brought someone along with me to San Diego for a Twitch event. Like, I'm always putting that forward, even with things that I talk on and they're looking for more Black women. I put it into BGG. We have a jobs and opportunities stuff where we just put those opportunities in. And even like, I have close friends as well where opportunities might not be right for BGG, so I just give it to them. There was a BBC audio opportunity, and I'm not a game audio opportunity, and I'm not a game audio person. So I recommended a lady by the name of Jade, who's of Asian descent, and she does a lot of audio around Asian games, Asian themes, and Asian culture. And so I gave her the opportunity. Like, sometimes you have to know your lane. Like, it's not for me, give it away. And if it's for me, then I obviously do it. But if it's not, then I give it to BGGs, and that's perfectly fine, to be honest. I ain't got the time. Sometimes I'm just too tired as well. So it's best for other people to get the visibility.
Never. I can't see. You don't get tired. You don't get tired. So I'm gonna ask a couple more questions here. Somebody said, "What does Black Girl Gamers success look like to you?"
There are a couple of things in my mind. Again, the aspect of representing some of the members, the aspect of a bigger and better website, which is in the works, which is why we haven't had a website for a very long time. But that and having Black women write content and produce content. I want to do more long form content and even get to the point of, I use BuzzFeed as an example, but where you create your own videos and your own long form and short form content around topics and issues and stuff like that. That's definitely a goal for me. A long-term goal in terms of the industry is just to have more Black women in the industry, to have more Black streamers getting equal opportunities that the white streamers and video YouTubers and content creators get, and with the same amount of equity in the industry and the amount of being coveted that they get. I think Black women deserve the same, and so those are kind of pillars. I think there'll probably be other aspects that will need to be addressed, but it's always a bit by bit aspect for me. I always take it step by step. I don't always try and go straight to the goal. I think if I do this will allow me to do that next step. This will allow me to have more equity next step. This will allow me to have more influence next step. This will allow the community to be more visible next step. And then also just the success of the community, like just to make it continue, for me and the team to work together to continue to make it safer, to continue to make it more efficient. All of, like, when new tools come out and new tricks and tips come out, just to keep implementing them, keep the BGGs happy and safe. That's another aspect, and that's not like what maybe people are not listening for that, for like a big ambitious goal, but that is still a goal for me, because and it's one that is an ongoing achievement. So we achieve it and then we move to the next step. We achieve it and we move to the next step.
Well, and it also sounds like, because you said sometimes even brands want somebody representing Black Girl Gamers and you send somebody else. So it sounds like there must be some type of sort of training that you do inside. Sometimes you do media training with people or talk to them about how to give speeches or help them practice.
So people who do speeches, no offense, like it's literally only me who do talks for BGG, because it's that level of the diversity and inclusion, which I also get from my professional work background in terms of recruitment. So like understanding how to bring people into businesses and give them equity. That's a different level. When it comes to talking to podcasts or talking on like interviews and stuff, yeah, we have like a pre-prep call, but I specifically nominate people from the team who moderate BGG, because they know exactly what BGG is about. So if it's not me representing, it'll be a team member. Community members are different, and I say that because there's so many community members. It would be unfair for me to pick a random one to represent BGG like that. So if you are part of the stream team, the Facebook team, or the Discord team, you're most likely to represent BGG more than just a member in the space, because at the end of the day, you are existing in the space as a community member, not as a community runner. So that understanding of how to run the space is more valuable in those kind of contexts.
And somebody just asked this question: how can someone who's white support BGG in the most positive way? Or what can we do with or for you without overstepping? I think that's a thoughtful question.
That's a very good question. So the one thing I love when people do, and this is just anyone, is when they introduce me to people who they know it would be valuable for me to know, and to push the community forward. So what was that? I just remember there was something like about interviewing a celebrity about it. I don't know if it's coming through, but like someone introduced me to that, and they were a white male working at a business company, and he was looking out for BGG, introduced me by email. We had a discussion, put BGG on the radar. So it's about, one, putting BGG on the radars of spaces, not that we can't get into, but maybe they just don't give us a second thought. And two, coming by the streams, sharing our content, supporting us on social media, all of that stuff. We do have a Patreon that we use as well, which I have to get better at managing. But there is a Patreon there as well. You can sub to our streamers and stuff like that, support the main streamers that are on the channel, support our events. So for instance, when we do in IRL events, one thing that I love is when people pay it forward. So for people who can't come to the events, maybe women who have financial difficulty or need help with anything else, people can buy tickets and pay it forward to someone else as a support mechanism to support the event and the people who are going to that event. That's a really good mechanism that I like, that I think is great as well. But yeah, I think main thing is I don't really like handouts. I like building things. So if you are someone that can get us into a room, I would be happy to then foster a relationship. That's the main thing for me. I think money always, this is one thing I can say, money will always come. You just have to foster environment for it to come.
Yeah.
Clearly, because I'm still working, but you know.
But see, we're putting it out there because there's something big coming your way. I can feel it. And you're gonna be able to quit that job soon. I bet you this time next year you're gonna be like, wow, when I was on the Blerd Girl Live, she talked about this.
Please tell me if you do.
We're gonna manifest that. We're gonna manifest that.
We are.
Now, actually, there is one thing that you did say, and actually tangential to that question. You were in this talk where you were very sick, but we couldn't tell. You were actually speaking to people in business about how they can help from the inside. So there are, talk to me a little bit about that, how we can squawk about it all day long and we can make black boxes in our Instagram all day long. But until we actually have people behind the scenes, yes, I said it.
Yeah.
Until we have people behind the scenes that are Black women or women of color, or no, I'll be specific, Black women who understand this space. Changes aren't going to be made. Now, I don't know of any, but I feel like you do.
In terms of Black women in the space, or
in high level positions like that of brands that might be able to work with us or work with you.
Yeah, I mean there are. I can't reel them off the top of my head right now. Riot ones always come to my mind. There are Black women in advertising. There are very few with Black women in advertising, but there are some that are in those kind of levels. I think it's difficult. I think this is me speaking from my professional background now. I think when it comes to attacking issues like diversity, inclusion, it has to be not just resting on the shoulders of the chief diversity officer. It has to be a company-wide initiative from the ground up. There has to be processes worked into everyone's role to account for diversity, inclusion, and equity. And sometimes it's companies want to cut out the last two and just do the first one. And that's a difficult one. And then when I was doing that talk, which was at EGX that you're referring to, which I've given to talks to other places as well, there are a couple of things that I say to them to do is to just, if you can't find someone who is in a business, find a consultant and pay them for their time. You know, what we offer, again, I say, is cultural capital. We are not offering something that is something they already know. They don't have the cultural capital to then generate the funds what they need, that they will need from the game that they're trying to tout by relating to the audience. They don't have that. They don't know how to talk to Black people. They don't know how to represent Black people well. They make mistakes. We've seen it multiple times in representations of characters and the voice actors of characters and in how they market characters and what powers characters have. And then in who sits on these panels when they're talking about diversity, having a panel about 2-3 white men talking about diversity. Like, these things that you can't speak on, you need to hire consultants. You need to step back and rescind that privilege that you have. If you don't have a Black woman, if you don't have Black people in your company, you need to start hiring them first of all, and you need to start fostering inclusive environments for them to, 1, work, 2, progress, and 3, have equity and impact in the business. And if you're not doing that, there's a problem internally. You're never going to turn into an organization that knows how to talk to all people. You talk to a specific demographic in your company. And I've said this to games companies multiple times, whether they want to listen is their business. But anyone they don't listen, they empower me to just rant again on Twitter, and then people will be like, yeah, that's true. And I'm like, well, I told them, they just don't want to hear me. So yeah, I I think it's a work in progress.
It absolutely is. So I have a couple other questions. These are game related. Somebody said, have you played Control? Oh my God. I bet just my boyfriend asked this question. Have you played Control? He loves this game. And is that on like the docket? Are you planning on playing that one? Look,
yes.
I come in the room and I'm trying to figure out why he's playing this game as this white woman running around throwing furniture.
With
and
powers,
he's like, you don't understand.
I need to play it. I haven't played it yet. It's on the list. I get less and less time to actually game, which is kind of sad. But it's on the list. I'm definitely going to play it. But I feel like Ghost of Tsushima. Say it for me.
Tsushima. Just ignore the T. Ignore the T. Yeah.
Tsushima. No, I can usually say it right. I just got tongue tied. Ghost of Tsushima is my one that I need to play first. Like that is the next game. Once I finish the games on my list, I'm trying to be more completionist than I have been in the past, because I waste money like that.
What advice, this one I can relate to. What advice would you give to a Black girl gamer who's new to the gaming and tech scene? I didn't ask this, but whoever did, thank you, because there's neophytes out here. Like, so you know that I know some things, but I can't sit there and like.
And I don't think you should feel pressured to. I don't feel like
there's always this question. There's always this question. I always think of people say, "Are you a gamer?" And I'm like, "Well, no. I mean, that's esports, right?" That's actually what I thought for a long time. But the concept of casual gaming and watching enough casual gamers has made me feel more comfortable with saying, "Yes, I'm a gamer," in private.
Which is fine. I always like the term gamer has been so tied to one cliched stereotype of white men, because it is a stereotype of white men, that has never existed, to be honest, on the mass scale. Gamers have always been very diverse from the ground up, and I think calling yourself a gamer offers diversity in background, ethnicity, and nationality, but also in a capability level, whether you're a hardcore gamer, an esports professional, or a casual gamer, or someone who just plays mobile games. And mobile games are even now streamable on Stadia and stuff like that. So I think gamer is very loose term. It's just like, do you play games for fun or work? And then if someone says yes, then there you go. If you want to specialize and say, then no, I'm an esports player, or I am a hardcore gamer, that makes more, it gives you more detail. But I don't think you have to feel pressured to put yourself in any particular box if you call yourself a gamer.
Also, just like comics and things like that, there are other roles and jobs inside the gaming community, because I haven't read every comic book on the planet. I read a lot of comics. I watch a lot of stuff. So I can speak to things if I'm asked to speak on them, if I'm hired to like host something. And there are also hosts of gaming competitions, and even gaming has become so mainstream now that there's a lot of shows here on Twitch. There's even stuff that's, slipping into other platforms where people sit up and talk about the games that dropped this week, and they might not be hardcore gamers either. I am finding that as well. So there's even other jobs within the gaming community. What's another question that somebody has here?
Just the person who asked, I would say find your tribe. If you have to join a community, find your tribe of people who like playing games, the same games that you can, and that will help you establish yourself more in the gaming scene if you're new to the game.
But how do you find that tribe? Is that on like Twitter, or do you have to like find a Discord of people that are playing that game?
You can find it on Twitch and interact and support people's streams. You can find it on Twitter. You can find it in other communities. There's people in BGG who have been like, I found my best gaming friends through BGG, and they therefore have a tribe. Like, so it can be done in different ways. I think just the same way I did it, found people that I got along with, which is actually really random, finding that I found my friends first in gaming and like how aligned we were. But that's what happened, and that's how I started BGG. So I just feel like finding your tribe is the first step to feel more established and have conversations with them to get more intel and more knowledge.
Another question: what kind of stories do you want to see in games? Are there stories from the perspective of a Black woman that you would like to see told. I'll tell you right now, I would like them to not just be DLCs. I would like them to be the original game.
That's a good one. I see you've been talking about Dishonored. But yeah, for for me, I think I would like to see a plethora of different narratives. Black women. I want a Black woman franchise, and I mean when I say Black women, I obviously we had Remember Me and stuff, but when I say Black women in this context, I mean an unambiguous Black woman racially. So a Black woman who is dark skinned and represents her culture in 100% authenticity. I would love to see. I have game ideas in my head that I would love to just kind of copyright and pitch to businesses about different gaming experiences. I would love to see Afrofuturism games, RPGs. This is along the thread of in which I have ideas. 100%, that would be in my alley. I would buy that game if it was like set like Ghost of Tsushima. I would be sold. You would never see me play another game, most probably. That I would be rinsing that for the next 5 months. God.
Can you imagine a game like that where it's sort of like it's one, not necessarily tribe, but one civilization in Africa that's trying to conquer another, and it's based on history, and you have to go through different parts of, and the map
don't give
is
your ideas.
correct.
Don't give your ideas out, please. Keep that to yourself and pitch that.
Okay.
That's another thing I tell people.
I'll pitch it.
don't put that out. Edit if you can edit that
funny.
out. Edit that out.
I tell people that all the time, and it's so funny. I wasn't even thinking about it, but yes.
Don't put that out there. You know, there's people really watching. But yeah, no, 100%. And even different types of games. You know, different puzzle games, strategy games, games like Abzu. You know, set like maybe Journey is a good representation of that. You know, Journey was set in a different setting. Beautiful. Like though, there's so much opportunity, and I don't even say like just for playing just for Black women. Like I want that, don't get me wrong, but I loved Mirror's Edge. Like seeing an Asian female protagonist was so inspiring to me. Remember Me was so inspiring to me. The new game Raji that we will be having a giveaway soon for, but is so inspiring for me because that's an Asian female character developed by an Asian team, you know, particular in specificity in Indian women, you know, and that's great. Like I love those stories where it takes you to different worlds. I would love to see more about that in different cultural contexts. I don't want to see no medieval crap anymore, to be honest. And I love a medieval game. Like I love a dragon. I love a witch. I love a fairy. But I'm tired. You know, we don't need to all be talking about King Arthur all the time. And my lord, like, get rid of that. Let's focus on something else.
Or put us in the future. It's very weird when you see medieval stuff like that. We're not in the past, and then you go to the future, and we're not in the future either. So, you know, or only if you build your own character are you in the future. Although I did see the last version of Mass Effect was hilarious. I saw so many people creating their own characters. And there were several stock characters that were, even though I know a lot of people did not like that version. There were a lot of people that made their own stock characters. Their own characters, and there were stock characters of color, a lot of them. But I will basically, you know, I'll play any game that Keith David's voice has anything to do with. Somebody else has a question here. How do you hone into building a brand? Like, where do you pull from? That's something I'm struggling with. Okay, I think you came late because we talked a lot about this in the beginning. But is there a in terms of building, because we're onto gaming, you can mention culture if you want, but the concept of building a brand, where did you start with BlackGirlGamers?
I started with what I needed and wanted to see. That was the first thing. And then I started with, the next thing was to make, I'm sure you guys have probably seen our little characters. For like, we have a PS4 character, a PC character, and to be honest, we don't use them as much today, but I still bought them and they're copywritten and they're mine, so I still keep them associated with BGG. And those, in that, I wanted to see the different representations of gamer girl that weren't represented. So I wanted to have a curvier, a bigger, plus size gamer. I wanted to have a gamer with locks. I wanted to have a gamer who had an afro. I wanted to have a gamer that has bunches like, well, one of them, the PS4 is
Yes.
based off of me. He based that one off of me, the artist Chris Brunson. And then yeah, I just wanted to see different representations of Black women. Some were dark, some were light, and that was the main thing for me. I always, sorry, my light's falling. I always try and well, 2 seconds. I always try and look at things where that representation is missing. That's how I hone in and what I want to do for the brand. And then I think of colors. So for instance, a lot of techie stuff that is feminine or female or stuff is very purple, as we can see with the BlackGirlLIVE. Purple is a very regal, very confident color. And so purple is also one of our brand colors as well. For BGG, and I always kind of instill some purple because it is very unapologetic color. It is what it is, whereas blue can be perceived as different things. Excuse me. So I think, and one thing that I think when building a brand is that you are allowed to be fluid. You are allowed to rebrand if you want to. Like, you don't have to stick with what you started off originally. And I think that's something that I'm doing now. Like, I'm working with a company to try and see, you know, a different branding for BDG initiative for the next part of the stage of the journey. And that's one thing, is like, I'm not there yet. This is a journey. All I've done is learn things along the way, and I'm imparting that knowledge that I've learned now. I'm not an expert. I'm just on a journey of building something that seems to work. You know, it could be gone tomorrow and I could be talking trash, you know. This is just me testing this knowledge out.
And honestly, even though you think like, oh, I'm just still figuring this out, I say this all the time. As long as you're in the room with at least one other person who doesn't know as much as you can teach. And you've been such an amazing teacher. I mean, I've even thinking this past 2 hours, the chat has been like, oh my God, this is a class. This is amazing. So this has really, really, really been, I think, helpful for me. I am going to, I have people yelling at me about anime. Okay. I've got to ask this before I go, because I do this usually every episode. So, are you watching any anime? Or have you been recently? And it doesn't have to be brand new. I mean, any anime at all. Do you like?
I started watching Monster, but I kind of fell off. Like I said, I'm watching the K-drama Empress Kai right now.
Yep.
So I'm not watching any anime at the moment. I also started watching God of High School, but I can't stand animes that don't develop the character in the first 2 episodes. Like, if you've got powers, just because you've got powers, I'm just turned off.
It kind of starts in the middle. That one starts in the middle. I think you should watch you should watch Demon Slayer. I think you'd like Demon Slayer.
I was about to say, the last one that I watched that I really enjoyed was Demon Slayer.
Yay! Okay, we have a Demon Slayer fan. Cool. I need that second season to come. I think you also might like Blood Blockade Battlefront. I'll give you that one, and it's a lot of fun.
Ooh,
and if you're busy and you only have time to like watch 1 episode or 2 episodes, like there's an arc, but then there's also individual episodes that are just fun, and it's only 2 seasons, so it's not like a commitment like Naruto or something.
Oh, another one that I watched twice. Promised Neverland. I love that.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I love that.
Okay.
So good.
Well, that
she's like, that was trash. I didn't like it.
I didn't. No. I'm not gonna say that. That one took me a minute to get into, but it was really funny. I'm not thinking like too many powers, but there were absolutely powers.
No, yeah.
And so, but the funny thing is, I'm going to look some up, but there's some animes out there that are a lot like the drama that you're watching. And I think you'd like those. That way you don't have to worry about like, tell me the powers. You could just like get into the little narrative story. And they're like, kind of like Josei manga. There's a few anime out there that are like, sort of like young adult relationship kind of things. That are really, really beautiful. Wait, are people making suggestions here? Carol and Tuesday. Okay.
I've seen it. I love that. That was lovely. But I didn't like the song. That song got on my nerves.
I like Carol and Tuesday season 1 better than season 2. I don't think they represented the LGBTQ characters properly in the second
Yes,
season.
agreed.
And I thought that
Agreed.
it's one of those things where I'm not queer, but I was saying to like a friend, like, this don't feel right.
Yeah,
And they
it
were
was
like, yeah, because
very
it's
like
wrong.
tropey. It's tropey, very tropey.
Yes. And it was like they tried, but there was nobody queer in the room to like direct them, maybe.
Very much so.
But I loved how it was animated. Your Lie in April, yes. Donnie, who just said Your Lie in April, The Secret Piano. You would probably like those. Parasite is scary for people who don't know horror anime. I don't know if Jayanne wants to play that. I mean, watch
I've
that.
been recommended to watch Parasite, actually. I might watch it.
Okay,
I don't
so
mind horror
it's
anime.
Parasite. Well, see, what's really funny is that I watch tons of horror anime before I watch horror movies because for some reason, because they're not human, I can handle it. But Parasite the Maxim is very good, and you do get the whole origin. Like, it's not just powers. It's sort of it's an invasion and zombies and a bunch of things all together.
Ooh, yeah, that's my kind of stuff. Sci-fi. That's me.
So there you go. And yeah, slice of life anime. I completely agree. You got everybody in the chat. Like, you need to come back to this chat and look at some of these suggestions because people are like, you need to watch all the things. So my last couple things are, one, what made you play Fortnite? Because I remember you saying that you were not gonna touch that game. What brought you to Fortnite? What happened? What's his name?
Right here. It's not his name. What do you mean? It's her name. And you know who she is? She's a BDD. It's Hev. My friend Hev. My friend Hev and Callie. They kind of, because basically I was playing Apex for a while with them. We had a whole group of people that played Apex.
You're a huge Apex Legends fan. I knew that.
Well, kind of. Now that game stresses me the hell out. And like, I just can't. Like, it's just too much. Like, quick, do this, do that. Like, there's too much. I just want to enjoy myself. And so Fortnite has that light-hearted enjoyment. Like, you can drive cars, you can swim. There's a shark.
Don't play Control then.
Random crap.
Don't play Control then. Control.
No, Control is like but Control. I think my parameters differ for different genres. So for FPS, if it's too stressful, I get anxiety. Like, I can't do it. But for an RPG, I can do that. Like, for a role-playing games, narrative story game, I'm cool with that. That's fine. So with Fortnite, it's just funny. Like, I would just get in a car and drive off, and then I got kidnapped in one game by a teammate, and they let me die. That was really sad and traumatizing. But
oh my god,
it was fun. Those things can happen. Like in Apex, it's very much a competitive game, and Fortnite can be competitive, but it's also there for enjoyment and creativity, which I enjoy. It's fun. It's kiddie. I like it.
Somebody said that I'm with Fortnite till I get a skyscraper built on me. Is that now I sound old. Is that a euphemism, or can somebody actually build a building on top of you?
So they can build in Fortnite, which is why in the first place when Fortnite came out, I was like, I don't want to play this game because I'm not gonna be quick enough to build, and I still am not quick enough to build, but I can still get to second or first place without actually having to build well. So yeah, it can still work.
So I just want to thank you for hanging out with me for a couple hours, and it's been great to catch up. I haven't physically seen you in a couple years, and I hope when they turn the planet back on, when I get to England, there's like shopping I need to do, there's food I need to eat, there's so many people I need to visit. So yeah, I need to figure out, I have to get me to, well, you're not in London proper, are you? I'm
in like the outskirts of London. I was born and raised in London, lived there for 20 years, and then I moved to the outskirts. So Greater London is called. Greater London. Okay. So yeah, look, and depending on what happens, my passport is still valid. The moment that Europe lets us fly again, depending on our election, I might be out. I'll be on your door. Be like, hi, so I'm staying. I mean, I have a spare room. You're welcome to come.
And something I am going to do, I am going to go check out BlackGirlGamers, and you never know. This is the last episode of the first season, and maybe season 2, Jayanne will come back and we will do a stream together, maybe.
That will be awesome. And I just want to congratulate you on doing your live series and shows. This is amazing, and I'm proud of you just to see you do this. It's very, very good.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that joined in the show tonight. Thank you for hanging out with us for a couple hours. Thank you to Jayanne for being my last guest of the season. Thank you to everybody who was my guest this season. Everybody from Orlando Jones, April Rain, Peter Ramsey, Tanana Reeve and her husband, and so many other people. I am so excited that everybody took this journey with me. It's not over. Just going on hiatus so I can get like better camera, bigger lights, all kinds of really cool stuff for season 2. And I want to thank the entire OSNYC team for making me feel so welcome here. Everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And my assistant, Cynthia, who has been a huge help getting this show together and wrangling guests and everything every week. Have a good one.